What's up, YouTube? First and foremost, shout out to Alien Army. Raise up, stand up, hit a like button, definitely drop a comment. If you don't know what Alien Army is, those are people that rock with me heavy, they rock with me tough. They are subscribed. They always hit the like button, drop a comment. If you don't know what to put as a comment, because I'm a small channel, everything really does help a whole lot. You put an alien emoji, put a thumbs up. I do respond to 99.9% of my comments. I actually went on live last night, hanged out with everybody. It was really, really cool. I was just sitting here and I was right about to eat my dinner, and I said, let me turn live on and see if anybody pops in. And we had a great conversation, and we were just joking around. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. You never know when I jump on live. And I showed everybody my dinner last night. It was fun. It was great to talk to everybody. It's always great to talk to people in comments, but in real time as well. Like when you post something in the chat, I can read it and then talk to you guys. You know what I mean? So it's really cool. Shout out to the donations. I'll say it in the beginning, not asking, not begging, but if you want to show me love or bless me, my Cash App is the same as my YouTube name, AlienAscend, and I'm going to jump straight into today's video. I think this is what I'm going to name it: Homeless Adventures, Bald Spot Continues. So I mean, I don't know if that's going to do very well in YouTube algorithm. Bald Spot Continues, but no, this is a continuation of the video I did yesterday with my friend that I'm calling him Bald Spot. That really wasn't his nickname, but we used to clown on him a lot. Like before the age of 18, even when I first met him. I met him when I was 15. He had a very, very bad receding hairline. His father had it as well, and so did his grandpa later on in life when I met them. But so before I jump into the homeless stuff with him, because I was homeless on the streets and I ran into him, I want to give a backstory. So this might be a longer video, but I'm going to do my best to, I want to talk about things that I won't forget about talking about later. Like I want to put everything in this video that's coming to mind. You know what I mean? So I guess I'll start how I met him. Met him at high school, and we weren't real close or anything like that. I just remember seeing him, and then I remember he got expelled, and had to go to a continuation school for a year. And at that continuation school, he went to school with somebody that I was really close friends with, and he was always talking about Bald Spot. I was like, Bald Spot's funny with this, and blah blah blah. And he's like, can we bring him over and chill? And I'm like, yeah, sure. At that time, we lifted a lot of weights. I didn't put on very much muscle. I think my problem is probably genetics, and I've never ate enough protein. You know what I mean? I grew up poor too, so I'm sure that didn't help. So that's how and we became real close friends. But I guess I want to back up on one point. He was wild and he was crazy. At the age of he was a firebug. He loved to play with fire. He's caught himself on fire several times. I've seen it with my own eyes, and then I've heard stories of it. He actually went to juvenile hall for lighting a place on fire when he was 12 years old. Him and two other people. There was another person who was 12, and then a person that was 10. They're all childhood friends. The person who was 10 was the younger brother of somebody else. So you got Bald Spot, somebody else, and then somebody else. I probably won't be talking about him, so I won't even give him a nickname. There was this we used to call it the field, but it used to have this house, and this house was abandoned, and inside the house was a hobo. That's what they called the guy. They called him a hobo, but it was just some homeless dude that was there. And Bald Spot and his two childhood friends used to always hang out in there and stuff like that. And then that hobo had caught them and said some very derogatory things. Said that he was going to beat them up, and then he was going to do something horrible to them after he beat them up. Try to use your imagination. Somebody forcing themselves on you is what he said to them. So the Bald Spot was really pissed off that he felt like he wasn't doing anything that person wasn't doing. But number two, you say that to a child, you know what I mean? He was livid. I think what he did was he opened his mouth and said that he was going to burn the place down, and he did just that very day, and that he caught himself a little bit on fire doing it with gasoline and everything else. He went to juvenile hall for that. This is before I even met him. He went to juvenile hall for that, and then I guess when he got out of juvenile hall, he was on a very strict probation, and on that probation he had violated before. He did have to take drug tests and stuff like that. As far as I understood, all he ever did was mess with Mary Jane every once in a while back then, but he stopped doing that. Because he was getting tested, but he went to juvenile hall at least twice that I know about. He could have gone there more, but I just don't remember. So he was a firebug too. Man, like 4th of July's and stuff like that, would catch stuff on fire, and he bottle rockets, Piccolo Pete's and stuff like that, and all sorts of. Somehow he always ended up, his parents. One time he caught himself on fire with fireworks in my backyard, and I, like I said in one of my videos, I used to have a pool, and he had to like literally put his whole leg in the pool to stop the fire. It had ran up his leg. So that's a little bit of backstory about him. I'm 18. I had that job with the Italian restaurant, and I remember it was a few days after that. I should take another step back because I want to fill something in about you guys. He grew up very similar to me with how his dad was towards him. I don't think I've met anybody personally who's had it worse than me. I know for a fact there's people out there that have, but he had a very bad toxic dad that never showed him love, and used to beat the holy crap out of him. All the way up to like the age of 14, 15. His father never showed him any love. He was very, very quiet. His mom he didn't have any love for his mom. Like I could tell he loved his dad. He also had two sisters that were younger, no brothers, but growing up, when I met him when I was 15, I've been having to shave my face since the age of 12. So at the age of 12, one day, I guess I went through puberty and my voice changed to what it is now, deep and a little bit raspy. And then I could grow a mustache and a goatee like this at the age of 12. I could grow it all the way out. I never did that. I used to always want to be clean shaved. Even though I had older brothers and stuff like that, nobody ever taught me how to shave my face. Nobody ever taught me how to be a man, kind of like the stuff that goes on. Nobody ever had a conversation with me like that. So at the age of 15, he started getting some patches on his face and stuff. He didn't even know how to shave. I taught him how to shave. He didn't even a lot of stuff that I struggled with because I didn't have a father. I didn't have anybody in my positive role model. Nobody ever took the time to teach me stuff. I've always had to either learn on my own or the hard way or piece things together. There's I don't want to say never, but I mean there's the times that people were really nice to me and stuff like that, or went out of their way and taught me something, it was very few and far between. I am appreciative of all of it, but I believe that I needed better structure. I believe that I should have had a better role model. I should have had somebody that actually showed love to me and stuff like that. He grew up very much like that as well, and I remember he used to love to steal. He'd steal from stores all the time. In fact, if he had money, he would still do it. If you were going to go in the store with him, he would be like, "Hey, give me the money, and I'll take the stuff." Or he was always like that. And he was a lot like me with impulse control. My impulse control was towards if somebody got too close to me, especially if I didn't know them, I would tell somebody not stand close next. I've been like that my whole life. It's gotten way worse, though, I'll be honest. Being homeless out here, it's gotten way worse. But if I don't know somebody, I'm very much on edge. You know what I mean? But back then, my impulse control was fighting a lot. And at a moment's notice, it didn't matter, especially if there's a teacher around or a cop or somebody's parents right there. I could care less. That's just how it was. I still have troubles dealing with that stuff, but I'm a lot better than what I once was. He had impulse control of whatever seemed fun he would do. So this person, I'd never even saw. I know that he got in a couple street fights, but I don't think I've ever seen him fight. And he wasn't a punk or anything like that, and he wasn't a bully or anything like that. I never hanged out with people that were bullies. A lot of my friends, I actually ended up getting in fights with them at certain points. Never even got in a fight with this guy. Maybe a little small argument, but no fist fights, something like that. I think he got in a couple fights, but I've never seen him fight. And I heard from some people that that he could fight, but he was very unorthodox. Wild ass swings, some weird stuff, but it worked. He got beat up a couple times, and he won some fights as well. Why I bring that up is so now I'll jump into the part where it's a couple days after me and him just got fired from the Italian place, and he picks me up. He comes over one night, and that's where I was going with it. Sorry. So at the age of 17, that's when his probation ended. So a couple days before he turned 17, his father was like, "I was only sticking around because you had this and everything else." And his father and his mom were never in a romantic relationship like that. Evidently their marriage had ended a long time ago. They he had a girlfriend and his mom had a boyfriend, and they kept things separate. But for the kids, I guess they stayed inside the house. At least that's my take on it, right? So a couple days before he's 17 years old, his dad splits on him. Doesn't say anything to him. Splits. his mom had been telling him the whole time, on your 18th birthday, I'm kicking you out. You know, I mean, he did mess up a whole lot, you know, like he was always in trouble. You know, he barely got away with anything. As his friend, I was trying to tell him, you know, like what to do to get away with, you know, stuff. He, you know, he had a loud mouth a little bit where, like, you know, if he did something, he would tell the person before he even did it. And I try to tell him, like, you know, why should you ever give anybody a heads up? Do people give you heads up about stuff? You know, like that kind of stuff. So he knew that he was getting kicked out when he was 18. So when he got on his 18th birthday, he was told to leave, and he moved in with his grandma and his grandpa, and that was on his father's side. So he, you know, I think one of his first jobs was that Italian restaurant as well. But a couple days now that you guys got the story, a couple days after that, me and him got terminated, he comes over and he tells me, he says, he's like, hey, I really want to confront my dad, and I'd like for you to come with me. And I said, how bad is it going to get? And he said, I don't know, but I need to confront him. I need to get something off my chest. And I said, okay. I figured I figured he was going to fight his father, or beat up his father, or that you know, that if he was going to fight his father, he wanted me to jump in, something along those lines. But that's the impression I got. So we go ahead and go to this apartment complex where it wasn't very far from where you know, his mom and dad used to live. We go to the apartment complex. He knocks on the door. He goes in there. His dad lets him in, and he says, "Alien's coming in too." I walk in there, and he just barrages his father with, like, yelling at him, and you know, puts his hands on him, pushes him to a wall, and he's like, "I'm not a fucking kid anymore." Probably shouldn't be cussing, but he's like, "I'm not a kid anymore. How dare you do that?" And he's like yelling and screaming at him, and his dad's cowering to him. His dad's absolutely scared shitless. You know, bald spot. He was about my same size, except for I think his arms were bigger, but like we were both really, really skinny. And we both worked out a lot and stuff, but I don't think I had enough protein, so I was not. Nobody ever back then. Nobody ever said I was timid, like they were intimidated to fight me or anything like that because of my size. In fact, they actually, you know, I used that for my advantage because they weren't intimidated to me, you know, by me or whatever. You know, they didn't know what was coming. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you underestimated me, which is good. I don't want you to. I'd rather you slack. You know what I mean? So he throws his dad against like it was a studio apartment, so like over some bed and stuff like that, and he's screaming and his face is absolutely red and he's crying. And the first thing I noticed is that when he does this is like, if you were gonna hit somebody, you were just gonna do it. Like this is way different. This is like an emotional thing. And he's telling his dad, he's like, I love you, and you never were there for me, and I wanted you to be there for me. And he's like, and the reason why I'm not beating you up right now is because you know, like, I'm trying to remember what everything he said, and I don't want to paraphrase and put words in his mouth. Basically, it was it ended up being a hallmark moment where they both actually ended up hugging each other and saying that they loved each other. Nothing crazy happened other than him putting his hands like on his shirt and like pushing him against a wall, something like that. I do remember at a point when he was yelling, he was like, you know what? One of the reasons why I was there was he's like, Alien's the only person I've known that's ever had it worse than I did when it came to you know, his dad. And you know, and he went ahead and like threatened his dad a little bit. He's like, you know, if I tell him right now, we'll both jump on you and stomp your guts out and everything else. But he had a hallmark moment. They both, you know, his dad started crying as well, and saying, you know, that was what his father did to him and stuff like that. And you know, he was sorry. You know, just a hallmark moment. After that point, I don't think I saw him for quite some while. It had been a couple weeks, maybe even a couple months. He showed up another time, and he was extremely paranoid. He was not himself at this point. He was using stuff, and I don't even assume, I know what it was. He was using the stuff that they do on Breaking Bad. The muscle that he did have was gone. Now he was just skinny and eaten up. You know what I mean? He was really, really paranoid. He popped over and he said that he hid something, and I don't remember the whole story. He had hid something, and when he was looking for it, that a bunch of black widows bit him, black widow spiders bit him, and that they laid eggs in his veins. Some far out. He looked like he hadn't slept in a week. He looked horrible. He looked shitty. He said he's like I think I need to go to the hospital. And he's showing me his arms, and his arm is red because he's been scratching at it. He's like, you see it's red. He's like, I'm not making this up. He's like, and when he's holding his arm, he's like, I could see a spider moving right here. It's a baby spider. You know, it's a baby black widow that you can't see. And I'm like, dude, I don't see shit, man. I go, dude, you're tweaking, man. You're messed up. I told him, I said, he was saying he was going to go to the hospital, and I told him, I said, if you go to the hospital, I'll give him a fake name. I mean, that was the only advice I could give to him. There was no way in hell I was going to get in the car with him. You know, he didn't ask me to go in anyways, but he went ahead and did that. And what happened next? Yeah, I saw him another time after that, and when I saw him after that, he was still all paranoid and still on that crap. And he asked me, he's like, hey, if I something like, you know, if he ends up going to jail, would I accept his collect calls and would I write him in jail? And I said, sure. I said, yeah. I said, of course, man. Well, you know, what do you got going on? He didn't really divulge it to me, but yeah, he was on stuff and everything else, and he ended up going to jail for a year. Living at his grandma and grandpa's house, he broke into their safe and stole $20,000 and stole a firearm from his grandfather, and that he had got robbed with his own firearm. Somebody asked him could they see it, and then pointed it at him and took a bunch of money. And his grandparents, I guess, at some point checked their safe and saw that, you know, stuff was missing, and he was the only person that could have took it. So he admitted to that stuff, and he ended up doing a year in county jail. I did write him. I don't think I wrote him like crazy amounts, but I remember writing. I did accept his collect calls, and you know, I did write him. When he got out of jail, I actually did have a party at my house for him. You know, like, I remember at this time there was different parts of my life where, like, I know when I was 18, I went ahead and started working at a warehouse, and working at this warehouse, I had moved out and I was renting rooms. And then I think sometimes I would bounce back to my mom's house, like she would need help with rent or you know, something like that. Like, it was always, she'd ask me to come back, you know, and pay rent, and things were kind of messed up in my house with other shit going on. So I know that he did a year in county jail. When he got out, we did have a party for him. At that point, I think he may have moved into his dad's apartment, or I think it was his dad's apartment. He moved to his dad's apartment, and he got a job. He put a lot of weight on in county jail, and you know, he was never fat until he came out of county jail. So I imagine that his family put a lot of money on his books, and he ate a lot. Nonetheless, I believe that he moved into his father's house, and we just kind of like lost touch a little bit. Like, I knew the general, like, I knew what a part, like, where this is at is there's this huge park, and this is important because it's going to be in my story. You know, well, in this video I'm going to talk about it. There's this huge park, and where his father lives at in his apartment complexes, there's around 5 different apartment complexes. They might even be owned by the same person with different names, and they're all spread out. And out of those 5 apartment complexes, about 3 of them have pools, or it could be 2. I think there's 2 pools actually. There's a laundry facility, and then 2 pools and stuff like that. And so when I first became homeless and I was like living on the streets, it was because, if I remember correctly, shit at my house was bad, and renting a room, and I didn't have a car or anything like that. I remember I had a pillowcase, not pillowcase, what is it? A couch that had cushions. I had taken the cushion cover off, and that's what I had my stuff in. And I didn't have very much stuff at all. A blanket was one of it. I started staying at that park, staying at that big park, and it had been a while. I lost I basically like kind of like lost touch. I think when Bald Spot started doing bad stuff, he stayed away. You know what I mean? You know, when people do that kind of stuff, they normally do it with people that they know that are around them and shit like that, I imagine. Or he knew that I'd probably bitch at him about it. You know, like tell him he's a stupid idiot for doing it. You know, that's probably what I would do. Or I'd make fun of him in a way where you know, I'm not putting him down and thinking I'm better, but like, dude, you know, you're better than this, man. You know. I really can't explain it, but he wasn't really around too much when he did that stuff, which is good. You know. So I started staying at this park. I started going into those apartment complexes and finding vacant apartments. So now we're going to get into the homeless part of this video. So I'll tell you some of my tricks and my trades of the first, you know, like I looked for bandos. I had a better success rate at that time finding vacant apartments. I would mostly go for the ones that were on the bottom, And I mean, I stayed in a lot of them, to tell you the truth. I think I was on the streets for a couple months, like maybe about 3 months, 2 to 3 months, and I remember, and I'll get into to how that stopped. But I would take gum wrappers and little pieces of trash, roll it up, and like almost like a little matchstick, and houses that I suspected were empty because I'd walk past the apartments, kind of looking in, seeing if there's activity and stuff like that. I'd put like little wrapper things like in between the door and that door handle, where that if somebody did open that door, a little piece of thing would fall out and wouldn't stay there. And then if it was in there for like 2 or 3 days, then I knew that nobody was there. And then what I would do is hop into the patio, and then they had a kind of like a door, an outside door that's like a shed. It's not a shed, but like a tool area, and that door was normally locked. Sometimes it wasn't. Some of those vacants were unlocked, and they had spiders and stuff in there, and in hard times I would sleep in there, and I would sleep at that park and stuff like that. I would get inside there, and then I could actually make a hole from there to where the sliding glass door was, where I could actually unlock it with my hand. And I started doing that, and when I was doing that, I ran across good old Bald Spot. And Bald Spot was still using and looking not so good. He had like 3 or 4 other people that were always around him, kind of that were also homeless. They all had issues as well. They all used that kind of crap. And then from time to time, like, it was funny. The same thing I was doing to the apartments, he was doing as well, and we kind of like ran into each other, and what the hell happened, and blah blah blah. And he was very, very wild. He at that time, one of his hustles for homelessness he was taking people's mail. Back then, it wasn't big. Like, I don't think there was an Amazon or anything like that. But he would take people's mail, and there was a lot of those DVD subscriptions, where you get 3 DVDs, and then when you're done watching it, you send those out, and then you have a list of another DVD. Those and birthday cards. And I told him how messed up that was, dude. I was like, come on, bro. Why are you going through people's mails? One, that's a very big charge. That's a big charge for not a big payoff. Every once in a while, he'd get a birthday card that might have $20 in it, and then DVDs, and he was always stealing from stores. He told me about a hustle that people were buying hypodermic needles. He knew a bunch of people that were one person in particular, and the person I knew who he was buying as many as he could, and that even used ones that got cleaned, they'd buy as well. And I remember him telling me that. I was like, dude, yeah, but you got to touch those things. And inside those apartments, they had dishwashers, and the dishwashers had one of the settings was sterilize, and that's how he'd clean it. He asked me if I would help him with that stuff. And I remember one time we go to the building, and and I had no idea how he knew where to go, but places that would drop off used ones, we'd in particular, I remember I grabbed it. It was a box outside of this building, and I grabbed it and I ripped it off the wall. Evidently, with that particular box, you're supposed to do something. Grab it, like take that and then put one on there, but have a key to do it or something. But I remember I ripped it off this. It was stuck a wall. I ripped it right off. Me doing that, there was a door right next to it. The door opens. And the door opens. He's like, oh, you're for the needle exchange, or you're here to pick up the needles. And I played along with that. I was like, yeah. And she's like, we got a bunch more in here. And what she's doing, I said, hey, do you got any clean ones too? Because I'm going to be going over here. I made up some bullshit. She gave me a big old bag of clean ones, the dirty ones that I wouldn't touch. I went ahead and gave those to him, and the clean ones, I already knew what I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was something like I would get like $100. That was $100 worth of needles. I don't even know what the charge was for it. Maybe $1 or $2 a piece. I don't know, but I got paid, and I remember buying food with it. I was homeless like that with him for a while. And I was homeless again at another point where I was in my vehicle. But what happened was, and I might as well tell the whole story, just so I don't forget anything. So my best friend at the time that I grew up with since I was a kid, he had told his mom he had heard that I was living at this park, and she said, "Mi casa es su casa," said that I'd be able to go in there and live there. At that time, I contacted this dude. His name is Gothic. I'm gonna give him the nickname Gothic because in high school that's what he was. The dude Gothic is a person who was in the continuation school that reintroduced me to Bald Spot, and I was really good friends with Gothic. Gothic was a couple years, I think a couple years older than me, and his father had a painting company. This whole time when I'm homeless, like one of the first things I did is I called everybody. Like I was always really cool with I had lots and lots of friends. There were so many times in life where somebody, they got in an argument with their parents and needed to stay in my house for a couple days. I would let them go ahead and do that. There were several times where if somebody didn't have anything to eat, even though I didn't have anything to eat, I'd share what I had. There were so many times where people would that would have been left out. I made the conscious effort to make sure they didn't get left out, that they got invited to go to my house to go ahead and swim, or they always when I knew where a party was or something like that, I would let everybody know, and I was kind of like just being cool with everybody, you know what I mean? There's a lot of times where I was there for people. I remember working at warehouses and stuff like that. If somebody said that they were on a hard time, it was my last $20, I'd give it to them, At this time, I go through my whole phone number list, of people that I would, that like I had love for, like, we were good friends, found out real quick that it was one-sided. All the times that I helped out so many people and stuff like that, this is when I started to realize that, wait a minute, people do only because they want to do. Just because I did something nice for them doesn't mean that they owe me anything, you know what I mean? And I went through my whole list, letting everybody know my circumstances and everything else, and I don't recall anybody like doing anything about it. Like, hey, could I stay at your house for a couple of days, man? They would say, I'll call you back, or something like that. They never helped, and that's one of the first things that started to really like hurt my heart. It hurt my heart because I thought, man, if they really cared, they would have done what I did when they were in trouble. Or if we were really good friends, why wouldn't you sound more concerned at least? Why wouldn't you say some kind words or something? It really did bother me. But then I quickly realized, like I said, people do because they want to do. Just because you think you have a lot of friends or you're really close to family doesn't mean that when you fall in hard times that they're going to be there for you. That was when I absolutely realized it, because I had over hundreds of phone numbers and I called them all, and just one day of me still being at the park, my best friend was like, hey, I heard Alien's living at the park, tells his mom, and he gets a hold of me somehow. I don't remember the details, but I see my buddy Gothic, and I tell him, hey, I could go ahead and stay over here. Gothic knew that I was homeless. He popped over every once in a while, but he painted with his father, and he picked me up. And when he picked me up, he was going to go over and take me to my best friend's mom's house. He doesn't live there anymore. He's living with his soon-to-be baby mama. And when he's driving me over there, he tells me, he's like, hey, I know you've never painted interior or exterior before. He's like, you can, he's like, I'll hire you, and well, my father will hire you if I tell him to, but you'll get paid $40 a day until we start seeing progress, where you can do a lot more than just training, basically. So I said, okay. First, and the whole time I was there, just let you know, like, I was going to like temp agencies that had day work, and then you'd get paid the same day, or if I was working later than I think 5 o'clock, they already had it in their records, so that early in the morning I'd go ahead and get a paycheck. And then a couple doors down was a liquor store type of cashing place that cash it. I was always popping over there. Sometimes I got work, sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I was out there holding a sign for minimum wage. There's other times where I had to go hang up signs. There's lots of times where I was actually put in like an Old Navy, and I had to like unload all these boxes and fold the pants and all sorts of like just weird random stuff. So I think right about there where and I stayed at my best, like when I went in there to that house, she said, you got to work or go to school, you choose. And I said, funny enough, I just got offered a job today. I start tomorrow as painting. I said, it's not very much money, but it supposedly will be when I get good at it. I think at this point I'll end the video here. There's still a lot more to talk about when I was homeless, and I was in my car, and I ran into Bald Spot again. And everybody, I just want to thank you guys so much.